This problem says for each pair of polar coordinates, it says A, plot the point, B, give two other pairs of polar coordinates for the point, and C, give the rectangular coordinates for the point. So the first thing we're going to do is graph the point A. So that says negative 45 degrees. So remember, we're always starting at this polar axis here. And this means we're going to go negative 45 degrees. So that's going to put us down in this direction. Now I am going to keep each circle that we have here to be an individual number. So this is 1, this is 2, that's 3. So each notch is 1. So I just want to make that clear to you guys as we go through this problem. So anyways, so that's negative 45 degrees. And then it says positive 2. So wow, I was pretty good there, not even really thinking about it, that I would come out this way from the center. Remember, we're always coming out from the origin, that distance of the radius. So now this turns out to be 2, so it puts my point right here. So now that gives me point A. Now I'm going to grab point B in the same way. So this says pi sixth first. So that means I'm going to go, and it's positive, so I'm going to go in this direction here to pi sixth. And then it says negative 4. So that means on that same line, now I like to draw the line all the way through so you can kind of see where that puts me at. Okay, and since I'm going negative pi sixth this way here, that now I'm going to go in this direction, 4. So that's going to put me here. So I just want to make it clear to you that I'm going in this direction, 4. And the reason why is because this says negative 4 for my radius. Otherwise, if it was positive 4, I would be going this way. So I'm going to go the other way, negative 4. So that puts me here. And that's B. Okay, so those are my 2 points. I graphed them now. Now what we're going to do is that's part A. So I'll do this. I'll call this A. Okay, now we're going to do B and C. But first we'll do B, and next we'll do C. So B tells us to give 2 other pairs of polar coordinates for the point. So that's what we're going to do now. So now this is where my point's at now, right here. And what other r and theta can I give it so that I end up in the same place? So I could go in the positive direction. I go all the way around to there. And that would be 7 pi fourths, because if I went all the way around, that would be 8 pi fourths, because 8 pi fourths, and I'll write that down, that goes into it twice, so that's 2 pi. That's where I get my numbers from. So that's 8 pi fourths. So then if I'm 1 less than that, that's going to put me at 7 pi fourths. So that angle is 7 pi fourths. And that radius then would be positive, and I would come out 2. So that would be 2 7 pi fourths for that first one. Now this tells us that 1's not good enough. We have to find 2. So we need 1 more. So now let's try to be a little more creative now. What else could we do? Oh, I got one. This will be fun. So what if I came all the way to here? Now, if I drew that line all the way through, you could see that it would be included on that line. So that would be 135 degrees, or 3 pi fourths. So I'm going to write 3 pi fourths here. And then I'll be going in the, oops, went too far, negative direction. And then if I go in that negative direction, I'm going to go in a negative direction 2. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's my point again. So that would be another one. So 3 pi fourths, and it would be 2 3 pi fourths. Or not just 2, it would be negative 2. So there we go. Now we're going to move on to part B for this blue point there, the second point, point cat B. So anyway, so now we're going to take a look at this point. So now we dealt with pi sixth, which was here, and then in the negative direction, so we shot out this way. So now what we're going to do is we could do a negative angle. So we could go from here all the way to there. And if I went in a backwards direction, that would be negative 135 degrees. Now you see it kind of switched these around a little bit. Maybe I should have kept degrees for the first pair. So I'm going to change those into degrees. There we go. Now I'm going to keep the other ones in radians. So now since I'm going around this way, okay, that's going to be 3 pi fourths. Nope, not 3 pi fourths. 3 pi fourths would have been here. So it's actually, if I went all the way around, that would be negative 6 pi sixths. So that's one less. So that would be 5 pi sixths. Okay. So that would be 4 5 pi sixths. Now we need one more point. So now what else could we do? We could go in the positive direction too, and we could go all the way around to there. Okay, and that would be, if I went to here, to pi, that would be 6 pi sixths. And then if I go one more, that's 7 pi sixths. So I can say 4 7 pi sixths. So that's just different ways to write the same point. Okay, in polar. So anyway, so now we're going to turn these into rectangular coordinates. So that's what we're going to do now, part C. So for part C, we're going to need our fancy equations. So that would be these. This is what we're going to use in order to find those polar equations, to turn them into x's and y's. So we're actually going to use these top two here. Those are the two we're going to use because I know r and theta already. And I could plug it in and get an x, and I can plug in r and theta here and get a y. So since I know r's and thetas, the top two are what's converting it into rectangular. So now let's use these two equations. So now we know our radius is 2, and we know our angle is negative 45. So we just plug that in here. Oops. And hopefully we know cosine of negative 45 degrees by now, because that's just x equals 2 times root 2 over 2. And we know it's positive because we're in the fourth quadrant. Negative 45 is going to be down here. All right, so then this simplifies my x to be square root of 2, because those 2's cancel when I multiply. Now let's do the y for these. So y equals, and my r is 2, and the sine of negative 45 degrees. And we know negative 45 degrees for sine is negative because that's in a fourth quadrant and cosine's positive there. So this is going to be y equals 2 times negative square root of 2 over 2. So this turns out to be y equals negative square root of 2. Which, think about this, that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to go root 2 in the x direction, and then down root, and then down root 2. So that's the idea, and that would put us right on point with that. So I'm going over root 2 and then down root 2, and that puts us exactly where that point A is. So again, it doesn't change the location of it. It only changes the coordinates and the way they look. So my ordered pair is going to be square root of 2, negative square root of 2. Okay, so there it is. Now we're going to find the other one. Using these same two equations for our x, we're going to get x equals -4 cosine of pi, oops, looks like a 4, pi over 6. And then when I know the cosine of pi over 6? So I think about this right angle here, or this right triangle here, excuse me. That's 30 degrees. That's going to be 1, square root of 3, 2. So that means it's going to be square root of 3 over 2. So x equals -4 times square root of 3 over 2. That cancels. So I get for x equals -2 square root of 3. Oops. There it is. So now we got to find our y. So then that's going to be y equals, and then that's going to be -4 sine of pi 6th. Since we got the triangle over here already. Oh shoot, I mixed it up. No. I thought for a second I mixed those up, but I didn't. I'm okay. Okay, because yes, this is 30 degrees. Okay, so anyways, so now for this one, my sine is going to be 1/2. Okay, hopefully you guys are okay with that and haven't forgotten that. So y equals -4 times 1/2. And again, it's positive because we're in the first quadrant for both of those. Okay, so now -4 times 1/2. So my y equals -2. So my ordered pair for my B point is going to be -2 square root of 3, comma, -2. So that's my rectangular points, my rectangular coordinates for that point. So then my answers for part C are going to be here and here. And then for part B, it's both of those, and both of those for the blue. And then for part A, it's the graph to the right here. Okay, so there we go, all set.